Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
Hello, welcome to Pursuit of Perfect System. I hope you remember back to a few weeks ago where I first introduced you to the speakers, those lovely, gorgeous, really lovely red speakers that are on the desk there behind me, and they are the Wilson Audio TuneTots. Now, at the time of making that introduction video, I hadn't even listened to them, which I'm sure you will agree is an absolute crime. Now, I've had them for a reasonable period of time, and obviously I have now had a good listen to them, but not really at the level that I think they can deliver or that they can perform at. And part of the reason for that is I've been putting or getting a system together so that I could review them, which is not actually as easy as it first may sound, but I'm sure as you could see from that intro video montage, I now have some really interesting hi-fi components to use with the Wilson Audio TuneTot speakers, with the plan to review those components at the same time as the speakers. But what I have done in this period of time is take my time to get the Wilson Audio TuneTot speakers set up properly, because there is a full and detailed process that Wilson Audio advise that owners or users of them go through. And this is important in terms of their positioning, their angle, the towing and their isolation. And anyone who's a regular to the channel will know how I feel about isolation, so I think that is a very interesting place to start. Wilson Audio have given the TuneTot speakers what they call an ecosystem, which is additional items that you can buy and add to improve the aesthetic look of the speakers and their performance. One of the ecosystem products is called the TuneTot ring set, which, as you may have guessed it, is a ring that you can choose the color of, which covers the main speaker driver mounting hardware. On the rear is a series of magnets that hold each ring to each individual speaker. It's a very simple and easy installation process, which I actually like because it means you can quickly put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off to see which way round you prefer. At first, I wasn't sure if I preferred the look with the rings on, but literally a couple of times of changing them and they're definitely nicer with the rings. The second item in the TuneTot ecosystem is called the ISO base, which is a product designed to change the aesthetic look of the speaker, but more interestingly improve its performance by better isolating the speaker from the desk or the worktop or the surface that you're about to place it on. The ISO base are available in different colors and they very much complement the look of the speaker in this case, and they are heavy, come in very nice packaging. They are a sandwich of materials with very slim rubber feet on their underside and a nice logo plate. They are about the same footprint as the TuneTots, but raise the speakers about an inch and a half, because that is how thick they are. The bit that I wasn't expecting with the ISO base is that as you move them around, you can feel something internally moving inside, which is really quite interesting because it shows the Wilson Audio engineers have thought about the product and its design and how it's going to isolate or separate really the speaker from the surface. Before we place the TuneTot speakers on the ISO base, we have to install a set of spikes as normal, but the included spikes differ from the normal spikes you would get with a pair of speakers. 2 out of the 4 of each set of spikes is much longer than usual, and that is so that it's possible to raise or lower the front or the rear of the TuneTots to create the correct angle, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. And this stage is just one of 3 very important setup stages for the Wilson Audio TuneTot speakers. We have to think about their level, we have to think about their angle, and we have to think about their towing. Now, I think most of us will be familiar with level. With a set of speakers, normally you use a spirit level to make sure they are level from side to side and front to back, but not with the TuneTot. The reason 2 of the 4 spikes for each speaker is much longer is, as I mentioned before, so that you can adjust the angle. You can install the spikes and then extend them to raise either the front up or raise the back up, depending on how you want to angle the speaker in relation to where you're sitting. Now, Wilson Audio refer to this in the manual as the speaker's reveal, and there's very clear and visual instructions on how to set the speakers up to have the correct amount of reveal, not too much reveal or not too little reveal. Next key stage of the speaker's installation, we need to think about placement. Because the speakers are desktop speakers, I needed to think about placing them symmetrically on the desk. I needed to think about placing them where I can still work around them. In a way, that's a shame I had to do that because it meant I wasn't able to use WASP, Wilson Audio Setup Procedure. It's a process designed by Wilson Audio to use your ears to find the sweet spot in your room for your speakers. When you buy a set of Wilson speakers, with the exception of the TuneTot, the dealer that sells you the speakers will come and install those speakers for you, and they will do the WASP, the Wilson Audio Setup Procedure, for you. But for everybody else who might be interested in giving this a try, there is a video on YouTube where David Wilson himself shows you and talks you through the WASP process. Really, it's a test and evaluation process by walking around the speaker placement area, listening to how your voice sounds. Naturally, I can't do the WASP process in this instance, so I literally just had to place the speakers symmetrically and, as I previously mentioned, to allow me to have space. And then I used music to work on and fine-tune their placement to create the best overall soundstage. Then it was time to think about the next critical stage of their setup, and that is towing. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware of towing. In my experience looking at the instructions for other speaker manufacturers, I've often just read something along the lines of tow them in until they sound best, which is a little bit loose and woolly in advice. I can see why manufacturers give that advice, but I prefer the Wilson Audio way. They give you a visual representation of the correct towing for the TuneTot speakers, and this is again very clear in the manual. Why is this important, and why is this whole setup process important? Well, it's because Wilson Audio wants their customers to ensure that the speakers are set up to create the correct time domain, which is really a technical way of saying the best integration between the tweeter and the mid bass driver. Having the TuneTots up on the ISO bases makes this installation process much easier. For starters, the TuneTot speakers are very heavy, and having them straight on spikes, straight on the desk, would make it really difficult to do fine amounts of towing adjustments. But having the TuneTot speakers on the ISO bases, on the slim rubber feet, you can very, very carefully just make tiny adjustments to the towing. After you've put in all this hard work, surely all you want to do is just kick back and enjoy the sonic glory that you're going to enjoy from the installation of your new speakers. Well, almost, but not quite for me. Now, I hope you can probably see what I would class as the elephant in the room here. The fact that we are not symmetrical, we are over to one side of the room. Now, that would have been better if I could have moved the desk into the middle of the room, but unfortunately furniture or office furniture prevented that. So I decided to box clever and use that office furniture to my advantage. Now, when I got the TuneTot speakers here, it was on a proviso that I was going to be reviewing them as a desktop speaker system. And I envisioned this would be an ultimate desktop speaker system or hi-fi system. And I soon realized that these TuneTot speakers are high-end speakers, and you need to feed them with a high-end, high-quality source. And The criteria I set out for myself is that any piece of hi-fi equipment would need to fit on a desktop. I kind of bent that rule a little bit. So what I did, I got rid of the printer that was over here on top of a filing cabinet. Basically, I put that down here, which you can possibly see down here by my feet. And I decided to use this area over here on top of this filing cabinet to be my hi-fi rack. And what that allowed me to do is have more space to use the very high quality mains conditioning that I've got here from Isotek, the Isotek Nova 3. Because as I say again, I could tell pretty quickly with these Wilson Audio speakers that they're high-end speakers. They demand and deserve the highest quality signal that you can give them. And I know the Isotek Nova 3 is a fantastic mains conditioner because I've literally just reviewed it. And if you'd like to see that review, obviously I'll put the link up there for you. So I'm very happy with the mains conditioning aspect of the system, and I'm very happy with the mains cables that I'll be using in the system because I've managed to borrow from the main review system a couple of Tellurium Q silver diamond power cables, so extremely high quality power cables, but are also reasonably, actually really quite flexible, which is essential for working in the tight space that I've got up here. And I decided to use that thought process and take that one stage further with the speaker cable that I've decided to use. And the speaker cable I'll be using for this review period is the Tellurium Q Silver 2. And the reason I decided to use the Tellurium Q Silver 2 is because it's a very high quality speaker cable with very good resolution, very good transparency to help me review other pieces of equipment, and it's also got a nice amount of sweetness to it, which I think is very important when you're sitting this close to a pair of speakers in a room this small, which is essentially like a bathroom sized room. So think about that. Try taking a hi-fi system into a bathroom and listening to it and see what kind of results that you might get. So I'm up against it in terms of the challenge, but I'm always up for that challenge. I needed to get myself a source, and I decided to buy personally a miniDSP SHD Studio, which is quite an interesting component in itself because it's a streamer. It's a networked based streaming solution which uses the Volumio, I think I've pronounced that correctly, streaming platform or app platform. One I've not used before, so I was interested to get some experience with that. And typical miniDSP products, or in typical miniDSP fashion, it's a Swiss Army knife. It does about 400 different things, which are not of interest to me, except one really, really big one, and that is Dirac Live. And if you're a regular to the channel, you'll know how I feel about Dirac Live. Now, bear in mind, these are Wilson Audio speakers. These are £12,000 desktop speakers. Very, very high-end speakers. I'm not using Dirac Live to think that I can make those speakers sound better. It's not why I use it. I use Dirac Live to make sure I get the sound that I want, not the sound that I'm given by the speaker room interaction, which is what you do get if you don't control the sound. So that is why I use Dirac Live, and that's extremely important for me in my main review room, which is a very good acoustically treated room. And in here, which as I mentioned is a room kind of like the size of a small bathroom, we are off to one side. We've got speakers that are not symmetrical. We've got one speaker in the corner and one speaker not in the corner. So having Dirac Live in the source will allow me to control the sound of this system to a really high level, and that's definitely going to help me hear the best of what this Wilson Audio TuneTot speakers can deliver in this room. Pretty happy with the components that I've got together here. My plan is to try and review one set of components per week and deliver the videos on that. That's the plan. So the components that I've got are Chord electronics set up with the Hugo TT2 DAC, and I'll use that as a preamplifier with the TToby amplifier. I've got the Cyrus One Cast, which is a streaming amplifier, really interesting product, which I've been listening to, funnily enough, for the last couple of days. And I've got the Leema Acoustics Elements pre and power combination. So that's a little bit of something different, and I'll probably use that with a Chord Electronics DAC so that I've got more of a DAC pre and power combination setup. but a desktop size one, because the Leema Acoustics Elements products are very, very compact. What I will say is, for my first impressions of the Wilson TuneTot speakers, as I've mentioned a few times throughout this video, they're very high-end speakers, and you can tell that straight away. Within seconds of setting them up, they was creating a really interesting, very high quality soundstage. Very cleanly layered, height, width, depth. Really, really interesting. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful and interesting, you know, and another look at these really high-end, stunningly beautiful, speakers, the Wilson Audio TuneTot speakers, and I'm humbled and still, humbled and, I feel privileged to have spent any amount of time with these speakers. And I must admit, having them up on the desk, I've become very, very quickly used to having them there. They're nowhere near as kind of dominating off this room or dominating off the desk as I thought they might be. And I absolutely loved them. You know, even when I had them on the desk, I wasn't even listening to them, just sitting there looking at them. You'd have to have them on your desk to appreciate what it's like having a set of Wilson Audio speakers on your desk every single day while you work. Whether you're listening to them or not, it is a really special thing. It comes at a serious price tag, but it is a very special thing. So that's my little first impressions of them, and the rest you'll have to wait for. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been useful, helpful, interesting, fun, entertaining, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, stick around or go in the channel for more. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.